Before Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, there was MySpace. In the mid-2000s, it was the largest social networking site in the world. At its peak, it had over 100 million users and even surpassed Google as the most visited website in the United States. But less than a decade later, it was practically gone. What happened to MySpace? And how did a site that once dominated the internet collapse so quickly? Now, MySpace wasn't founded by a college student in a dorm room. Instead, it was built by two men with very different stories. First, you have Tom Anderson. If you use MySpace, you remember him, the friendly face that automatically became everyone's first friend. But before he became MySpace Tom, Anderson had a very colorful life. As a teenager growing up in San Diego, he was a hacker. Under the alias Lord Flathead, Tom hacked into Chase Manhattan Bank's computer systems. The FBI even came to raid his house, but since he was only 14 years old, he wasn't prosecuted. Anderson attended the University of California, Berkeley, majoring in English and rhetoric prior to becoming the lead singer of a band called Swank. Anderson then lived in Taiwan after graduation, before returning to the United States to study film at UCLA. After this, he eventually worked as a product tester for a company called X-Drive, where he met Chris DeWolf. Now, Chris's story was a little bit more traditional. He was born in Portland, Oregon, and he graduated with a BA from the University of Washington in 1988. He then completed an MBA at the USC Marshall School of Business in 1997, studying finance and marketing. Now, Chris was the business mind, while Tom was the creative side. The two struck up a friendship at X-Drive, and when the company went bankrupt during the dot-com crash, they decided to build something new together. In 2003, Friendster was the hottest social network that everybody was on. It allowed people to connect online through profiles, but it had major performance issues and was extremely slow. Anderson and DeWolf saw an opportunity. They created MySpace as a faster, simpler, and more customizable alternative. Unlike Friendster, MySpace let users personalize their profiles with music, photos, and even HTML code. It gave people creative control, and for millions of teenagers, it became a way to express themselves online for the first time. Now, MySpace was launched out of a small office in Santa Monica, and it spread rapidly among musicians, fans, and young people. Within months, MySpace had hundreds of thousands of users. By 2005, MySpace was a cultural phenomenon. Bands used it to share music, teenagers used it to make friends, post photos, and most importantly, customize their profiles with flashy backgrounds and autoplay songs. The platform exploded to 20 million users, then 50 million, and eventually over 100 million by 2006. Now, MySpace was so popular that in July 2005, News Corporation, Rupert Murdoch's media empire, bought MySpace for $580 million. Rupert Murdoch is an Australian and American former business magnate, investor, and media mogul. Now, at first, the acquisition seemed brilliant. Murdoch's team poured money into advertising and expanded MySpace worldwide. For a moment, MySpace was not only the top social network, but the single most visited website in America. Yes, even more popular than Google. What made MySpace so appealing was its freedom. You could create wild, chaotic profile pages with custom fonts, flashing graphics, and your favorite music blasting in the background. It felt personal, authentic, and rebellious compared to today's clean, uniform social networks. I remember some of my older family members loved MySpace for those exact reasons. Musicians, especially indie bands, flocked to the platform. For some, like the band Arctic Monkeys, MySpace wasn't just a social site, it was a career launcher. By 2006, MySpace was adding 230,000 new users every single day. And in 2007, it was valued at over $12 billion. MySpace was a place to be. But MySpace's success also brought problems. The very first thing that made MySpace fun, its messy, customizable pages, also made it slow, buggy, and hard to navigate. Many pages were overloaded with graphics and music, and this frustrated users. Now, secondly, News Corp's leadership struggled to manage a tech company. They pushed MySpace to maximize ad revenue instead of focusing on innovation. The site became clustered with intrusive ads, cheapening the user experience. Meanwhile, in Harvard dorm rooms, Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook was quietly expanding. Unlike MySpace, Facebook was clean, fast, and consistent. At first, it was limited to college students, but when it opened to the public in 2006, many people started migrating over. Now, I don't know if you guys remember this, but the competition between MySpace and Facebook defined the late 2000s. MySpace had more users at first, but Facebook's minimalist design and emphasis on real identity gave it a huge advantage. While MySpace became associated with spam, fake accounts, and gaudy profile pages, Facebook built a reputation for professionalism and reliability. When Facebook emerged with its clean, minimalist design, it felt like the complete opposite of MySpace's chaotic, ad-heavy pages. People who were tired of slow load times and endless pop-ups began to drift away from MySpace and migrated over to Facebook. Advertisers also preferred Facebook's cleaner interface and precise data, while users simply found it easier to use. And by 2008, Facebook had overtaken MySpace in global traffic. Now, during this time, MySpace tried to fight back. They redesigned the site multiple times, but every change only frustrated its loyal users. Instead of fixing its technical problems, MySpace doubled down on becoming an entertainment hub, rebranding as a music-focused platform. But it was too late. By 2009, MySpace was losing millions of users every month. Staff cuts followed, and in 2011, News Corp sold a once $580 million company for just $35 million to a company called Specific Media and Justin Timberlake. Despite several relaunch attempts, including a sleek redesign in 2013, MySpace never regained relevance. Now, at its peak in the mid-2000s, MySpace wasn't just a website. It was the cultural hub of the internet. Millions of people logged in daily to customize their profiles, share music, and connect with friends. And for a brief moment, it was bigger than Google and Yahoo, and it had seemed unstoppable. But by the time MySpace tried to reinvent itself as a music-first platform, the cultural tide had already turned. Its massive user base evaporated almost overnight, leaving only a shadow of what it once was. MySpace's story is one of early dominance followed by rapid decline, and this is a stark reminder that in tech, being first isn't enough. You have to keep evolving and you have to keep innovating. Now, even though MySpace fell hard, its impact on the internet can never be overstated. It introduced millions of people to social networking, and it gave independent musicians a platform to reach their fans. It shaped online culture in ways that we still see today, from customizable pages to music integration. And for many people who came of age in the mid-2000s, MySpace wasn't just a website. It was their first taste of digital identity, their first online friendships, and their first sense of community on the internet. As for the founders, Tom Anderson sold his stake when News Corp acquired MySpace, and he made reportedly around $60 million. And today, Tom travels around the world as a photographer, enjoying life far away from the pressures of Silicon Valley. Chris DeWolf actually stayed on as CEO of MySpace until 2009, and he later founded a mobile gaming company called Jam City, which has been very successful in its own right. They both had moved on, but for a few years they built a platform that changed the internet forever. So that is the rise and fall of MySpace. They were a site that went from being the most popular website in the United States to being a cautionary tale of what happens when innovation stalls and competition surges. MySpace may be gone, but for those who lived through it, it will always be remembered as the chaotic, colorful, unforgettable place where social media truly began. But what do you think? Could MySpace have survived if it focused more on innovation, or was Facebook's rise ultimately inevitable? Let me know down below in the comments. And while you're down there, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.